I'll call a regular meeting of the Buckhannon City Council to order. Ask if you would please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We'll respect the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, David. We traditionally, when Wesleyan students are present, we will recognize the Wesleyan students, welcome you here, ask you please to stand, tell us your name, what your major is, where you're from. Please face the camera. Start right over here. Ladies first.
Okay, so I'm Abby McClung. I'm an accounting major. I'm from Fairmont, West Virginia, and I'm on the Wesleyan lacrosse team, which we're having a pancake breakfast this Sunday. I have tickets. If you want to buy them, come see me. Thank you.
I'm Abigail Hensley. I'm an international business major, and I'm from Huntington, West Virginia.
I'm Lauren Soule. I'm a political science major from Wellsburg, West Virginia.
I'm Laurelyn Brown, and I'm a history major from Westminster, Maryland.
I'm Luke Blake. I'm an international business major, and I'm from Charleston, West Virginia.
Again, welcome. Glad you're here. Next on our agenda, Laura Meadows, the funding request for the CVB. Laura?
I have Upshur County travel guides. We got our newest edition 3 days ago, so Buffalo Wild Wings is in there with updated information. So we're good.
Any freebies?
No.
We weren't in line for the 300 wings or whatever.
So we want to thank council members for letting us come. I think you've got a lot of information in your packets that Teresa was able to distribute. We've got a few board members here in the council chambers tonight just to kind of support our request and discussion. We've had a lot of discussions about what the CVB's been able to accomplish in the past 3 years, all the goals that we have coming up and some of the needs that we have. We feel like we're in a really critical growth stage, and that's why we're coming to you tonight just to ask for an increase in the hotel motel tax allocation to 75% rather than the 60% that we're receiving. So what I've been able to provide you all are just a general list of accomplishments we've done and we've experienced in the past 3 years. One of which is the 29-page Upshur County travel guide. We've to date distributed 50,000 travel guides, and that's to West Virginia Welcome Centers, other CVBs, area businesses, hotels, and then also from advertising requests. So whenever we place an advertisement, people see that, they ask for more information, and this is the piece that we send them. We've been able to develop a comprehensive website. I did a quick count, and I counted about 109 businesses or organizations that are listed on our website. It's a free service we offer to all Upshur County businesses and organizations. We've received probably around 35,000 visits in the past 3 years to our website, and on average people are spending 2 minutes and 15 seconds there, so you can really tell that they're interested in the information they're receiving on our website. We have developed a comprehensive marketing plan. When I talk about our marketing plan, I talk about all of the print ads, the online ads, the social media presence we have, even our tagline, what small town charm is all about. It's because of our marketing plan and some research that we've done. The marketing plan's really changed each year, every year whenever I'm kind of refocusing and coming up with a new plan. I revise that plan. I look at different geographic markets that we might need to be entering into. We call other CVBs, so we really kind of put a lot of work and effort into that. We have received probably over $52,000 from state grants to help supplement our advertising budget. This is the first year that we have a significant cut. We're being cut $7,500 from the state, and more cuts are expected, but we still actively seek out those grants to help our advertising. We are an accredited CVB, and this is also really important because now to get those state funds, the state grant funds, you must be accredited. So it's really important that we have that. As a lot of you know, we're on Main Street now. It's absolutely amazing to see how many people actually come into our facility, find out why they're here, how they heard about us. We're interacting with the people who are visiting Buckhannon. It's great. We also have an advertising grant program. This is something we did because a lot of organizations don't necessarily have the funds to advertise their event, their business, what they offer. So we started this program where we give them advertising assistance, like we will plan their advertisement for them, but they'll also receive $750 from the CVB to pay for advertising. And we've supported about 12 local businesses through that program. We continually participate in travel shows. A lot of times we just send our travel guides. Somebody else works the travel show, but our travel guides are there throughout Ohio, Pennsylvania, DC, Florida, Pennsylvania, the East Coast generally. We've done a lot of regional advertising in the past year. We started a campaign with Lewis and Randolph counties. It's a really fun campaign, 33 things to do on Route 33. We have a website that's up and running, and a lot of our ads are starting to run this spring. So it's a great partnership between us. It stretches our advertising dollars a little bit, and it's effective for the actual visitors too. They don't care what county they're in. They just want to have a nice experience. The other regional advertising campaign, we've partnered with Preston County, Mon County, Marion County, Harrison County, and Lewis County, and Upshur County, and we've kind of created a golf campaign, and it kind of shows all the golf courses that you can do within those 6 counties, and just packaging that together again for people to come and experience all the golf courses in the region. And lastly, I mean, we have tons of partnerships with community organizations, businesses, nonprofits, surrounding county organizations. Wherever we can find a connection, we definitely want to be involved. Just moving on, goals for the upcoming year. Everybody's aware of the wonderful conference center that's being developed. We're in the works of getting ready to hire a new conference center manager who will be taking on that entire facility as far as booking, planning, and promoting the facilities. So within the upcoming year, of course, we're going to hire a new person. We're going to develop a specific website just for that facility. We're going to be able to create informational booklets, a lot like the Upshur County Travel Guide, but specifically for the conference center. We hope to have an advertising campaign just for the conference center. Of course, do little promotional items, that fun stuff. And again, have the opportunity to interact with a whole new market to Buckhannon. Right now, we're kind of focusing on the leisure travel industry, but with conference and meeting and banquet tourism, it's a whole new market that we can focus on. What we're going to do with the conference center, again, we're going to make a lot more local resources being connected to the facility. We're going to work with a lot of caterers, florists, DJs, and musicians. We're going to connect with a lot of our local restaurants, our specialty shops. I mean, we're going to make Buckhannon a feature in connection with the conference center. As we're booking reservations at the conference center, we really anticipate that this is going to increase the local hotel motel tax, so that's beneficial for everybody. We really think that there will be an increase in the B&O tax as we generate more business for Upshur County. Just the general economic development for the region is going to be tremendous. And then just, again, showcasing Buckhannon to a new group of people who would have never thought to come here for such a large meeting. It'll be wonderful. I also have, I call it a management plan, but it's really kind of a glorified timeline of what we're going to be doing, how we're going to be doing it, and when we anticipate to do it. So I don't want to read over too much, but again, April through June, it's really creating the foundation of the conference center, so that's what our new employees are going to be doing. You know, just laying the groundwork with the National Guard because it is their facility, creating that regular communication with them and all the other players involved. Creating our contracts, creating the promotional materials, getting things ready. And then as soon as the facility's ready, we hope to start booking events left and right, which really we already have events that are booked and people want to be in the facility. So we just need to get everything prepared for them. And then the last thing, I provided you all with projected budgets. Again, this was kind of the best I could do with the numbers I've been able to be given. I'll highlight just a couple things in the projected budget, and then y'all can ask any questions you might have. You'll see we have 3 different options, or 3 different projections, basically. A projection staying at our current funding level, projection with the 75% hotel motel tax allocation to the CVB, and then also a projection of what our budget's going to look like whenever we no longer have the settlement funds. Now, whenever I say settlement funds, it's just the settlement money we received from the prior CVB. What we've been doing is we've kept that in a separate account, and it's just been supplementing our advertising budget. So we anticipate that's probably going to be depleted probably in about 2 years. We've kind of created a plan for stretching that over multiple years, but within 2 years it should be depleted. So I think the 3rd column is the most important column to look at, especially as we're planning. Do y'all have any questions?
I got a couple questions.
Sure.
Laura, when you say you're booking some events now, what kind of, what's the flavor, what kind of different events are
A
out
lot
there?
of people who are using the old armory know that there's going to be a shift. So a lot of people who are utilizing the old armory want to have their event at the new armory, and they want to kind of know what's going to be different, what the fee structure is going to be. I know that Christmas craft shows, off the top of my head, they are always at the armory, and she wants to be in the new facility as soon as possible. The Shriners, they have 2 elimination dinners per year. They have it at the old armory. They're going to want to move it to the new armory. So those are the types of events that we're looking at. It's a lot of kind of regional annual events.
Anything new and different than what you've seen we have currently, or is it too premature to take a look at that?
We've had some interest, but again, and when I say booking, I mean we're letting them know where we stand on things right now, and we're letting them know as soon as we know specifics, as soon as we know what the fee is going to be, then we're going to give you the information. You can say yes or no. We're not, I mean, nobody's kind of written in blood there, but there's not anyone out of the ordinary. Like I said, it's mainly local regional people who are already using the old facility, and they know that they're going to be shifted over to the new facility. I think once we start actively promoting it and we're like, okay, we're ready, and then we start really hitting the pavement, we'll get a lot more people.
And when you say you're hiring somebody, is that a part-time position? Or
It will be a part-time position.
Part-time position. And you indicated you have the settlement fund still, and there's still an opportunity out there at some point in time for further monies coming into the CVB from the litigation that's ongoing, I understand.
Yeah, and it's minimal. I mean, when I say minimal, I'm thinking $20,000. So I mean, it will be a benefit, but I mean, it's not like the larger sum that we saw previously.
Laura, question on salaries. Does that
Yeah.
include the conference center manager?
It does.
In that line?
It does, yeah.
The booking income, how did you come up with that?
Again, these were the best numbers I could come up with. What the National Guard does is each facility's different with, size and just square footage, that type of thing. So last meeting I had with the Guard, they provided me the fee structure that's used in Jackson County. So Jackson County, from what I understand, I've never been inside the facility, I've been past it. I think it is a bit larger than what ours is. I think it's more like an arena rather than a conference center. But I used the numbers from Jackson County to kind of base our numbers from them. I think they're going to vary a little bit, but I don't think they'll be hugely different.
So do we have anything booked 2 or 3 years ahead? Because we actually were all told this originally, that there were already things booking for 3-4 years down the road.
There's some people like the Shriners. I mean, if our facility works for them, they have this event annually. So again, they've done it, I don't know how many years at the old armory, we would generate their business. Same as the Christmas craft shows. I mean, they're in their 30-something year. And so those are kind of annual things that we could definitely count on year after year.
Laura, I talked to some people it's been 2 weeks ago, I guess, down in Charleston from WVU who do training for counties and municipal governments. And they expressed an interest, and I gave them your name. They expressed an interest in having their training classes here in Upshur County when the facility is completed. Right now, they don't like where they have to go in certain areas, and they said this would be an ideal location. And so they should be calling you for that. And they wanted to know how many hotels we had, because sometimes they have as many as 50 or 60 at a training session.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of statewide conferences just because we're in the center part of the state and we're going to be so accessible. I think that's going to be really kind of a focus of ours, is to kind of reach out to those statewide organizations.
Do we have enough motel availability as far as occupancy?
It'll be
handle?
tight, I think, but it'll be tight, honestly. A lot of times, too, a lot of larger conferences will kind of give out a bid, and they ask areas basically to bid on their conference to come to their area. And I've kept a lot of bids for the past couple years, and a lot of them want, ranging from 100 rooms up to 300 rooms. And I think in Upshur County we have a little, like maybe 220 rooms. So it's going to be tight for some conferences, and hopefully we can sell that Weston really isn't all that far, Randolph County really isn't all that far. But I think it'll affect us a little bit, yeah.
Laura, is there a program or a system in place to track or to try to determine what our return is on some of these promotional programs? You mentioned, for instance, the golf program. Is there any system that either is in place or could be developed to measure what kind of impact this is really having?
That's one of the downfalls of the CVB world, because we do spend a lot of money in advertising, and what we do is our advertising leads. So whenever I say leads, again, we have an ad in a magazine, somebody sees that, they send in their information, and basically the advertiser, like West Virginia Living Magazine, will say, here's a list of people who saw your ad in this issue, and that's basically how we can calculate our return on investment. So it's not ideal, because you get thousands upon thousands upon thousands of impressions. So having consistency and having continuous advertising is key, because you might not necessarily stop and think about it, but if you see that ad consistently in West Virginia Living Magazine, it's going to make an impression. That's the best way we can do it. Now, online advertising is wonderful. I love it because you can track it a lot more effectively. You can see geographic locations a lot more easily. The time spent, somebody from Pittsburgh versus somebody from Charleston, West Virginia, the time that they spend on our website, you get a lot more detail, so it makes it a little bit easier to justify what you're doing.
But the challenge that you're describing is not something that is unique to Upshur County CVB. Yeah. It is something that every CVB deals with, and it's not like there's some program software or system out there that we can purchase to help with that. Okay.
And really, what would be ideal, because our whole goal is just to get people in our hotels, what would be ideal is somebody sees our ad and they go to a local hotel and they say, oh, I saw this ad, and then we can say, oh, we got one.
Right.
But it's almost impossible to track.
Michael, have you taken a look at this request and what impact it would have on the budget for next fiscal year? And
yeah, Tom, the impact it has is that there's currently, you'll see this in Laura's report, we have a 60-40 split in hotel motel tax. 60% goes to the CB, the other 40% goes to Consolidated Public Works. That covers everything through statute that we can provide under those funds, the employment of park personnel, park improvements, and things of that nature, which we do use. The back page off of Laura's report, and Laura has a copy of this, I submitted to her. Let me just go through this a little bit. It starts with fiscal year ending 11, 12, 13. And basically what we took was we took the average of those last 3 years, The overall, and these are real numbers, the overall hotel motel average was 197, 187, 48, which you can see, and you can see the disbursements 60, 60, 40. Those are the averages, and you can see as those go up, if the CVB requested 65, it would drop consolidated to 35 and so forth. So you get that 75-25, which is what Laura's requesting. For every change in that formula, of course, will increase the CVB's appropriation. Will also have the same balance, decreasing consolidated public works. Both departments are
That's
doing,
assuming no growth in
Correct.
hotel motel tax revenue.
Correct. And of course, 80% of hotel motel beds filled every night, attracting more events and things in. 90% of that, even at a 60-40 split, will obviously increase revenues for both sides. Better to have 90% filled capacity than 80%, of course. But you can just see through the different variations, and he gave these options to Laura. You can see it going up in 5% increments and decreasing 5% increments as far as it relates to consolidated, and the impact it would have on consolidated. At a 75-25 split on the average, basing the average of actual revenues that we collected for the 3-year period of 11, 12, and 13, you can see the increase would be around 29,500 for the CVB, which would certainly assist in Laura's needs, but it would also decrease the consolidated public works by 29,500.
Well, what kind of position is consolidated in to absorb that kind of reduction?
I think the thing that we always throw this term around, that we're always tight on our budget. Nothing could be even more truer than consolidated. That really runs, that is our tightest budget. I mean, the money we bring in is the money we expend. We certainly spend a lot more in the on-season, spring, summer, and in the fall, and then we spend at the beginning of fall, we spend the tail end of fall and all of winter replenishing those monies back, just to go in and spend those again. The institution of Robbie Barber as a full-time employee was a significant impact on that, and Robbie does a great job. So it's really a difficult thing to approach because both departments, the CVB also, are doing so well in what they do. I mean, it's difficult for me to recommend changing the formula. There's some questions I have with the CVB. In having this management group to go and create and work with the Guard to come up with a plan and idea of what the Guard's going to charge, our profit margin, what we're bringing in versus the expenses we have out. And one of the major expenses, of course, is hiring a conference person. Now, if I had to advocate right now, I'd much rather see a direct appropriation from council in the 14-15 budget than I would to go and look at the formula at this point.
What's the balance in our rainy day fund right now, Mike?
There's a balance. It's 501,000.
I mean,
change.
The mayor in the budget or finance meeting last Wednesday made a good observation, is that we got a fairly significant investment in the conference center, and I think that it's important that we continue to invest in that to make sure it can get on its feet and have the kind of return that we all hope it will have at some point in time. I don't know if I would be in favor of changing the allocation formula for the CVB, because the consolidated has got a very tight budget as it is. But I think if you got $500,000 in the rainy day fund, we may want to consider an appropriation from that to provide to the CVB for 1 year and then revisit again next year.
Well, we might be able to do something like that without tapping into that rainy day funds. I feel the same way about a supplement to supplemental appropriation to the CVB annually for their use. But I would really like to see the results of this management team meeting, and I would like to see some more detail about what kind of rates we're going to charge at the conference center, how they're going to compare to other conference centers, and those kinds of things, to see if there's a profit margin. I'm satisfied with a break even out there, but I have to think that there should be an opportunity to actually extract some revenue there for the operation of it. Some of that profit, if you will, for lack of a better word, could be used to support this individual who's going to run it and some of the other things that happen. I guess
You're
that's
asking
what I
for,
think.
you're asking for a business plan then, basically.
Well, yeah,
We wish
you
we
accountants
had-
use that word. I'm not sure I know what that is. but-
We had the better numbers, but I mean, just the numbers that we received from Jackson County, I mean, they're gonna be different, but I don't see them being vastly different. And, I mean, I sat down and I've done a lot of calculations based on what Jackson County model is.
And do they have a college there, Laura? Jackson County?
Jackson County, no.
I don't think
Because
so.
I
Ripley,
remember when we
Ravenswood
talked
area.
about this conference center years ago, one of the selling points, quite frankly, was that Wesleyan had to turn a lot of stuff down
Right.
because they simply didn't have the appropriate facilities, plus they can't have alcohol in their facilities. And so that was one of the considerations, that here you have, a lot of people want to have wedding receptions and so forth where they can serve beer or wine or what have you. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a lost leader for a couple of years until we really see the success of it. And we need to keep the investment up there for a little bit. So somehow we need to appropriate something for it, I think.
Looking at the conference management plan on the next page before the budget numbers, I guess, I mean, let me first say, I just flipped through your new tour guide, visitor's guide. You know, it's beautiful compared to materials that have been put out in the past by various CVBs. I mean, it's a marvelous publication. And, I mentioned earlier today in another meeting, it was nice to see it elsewhere in the state beside just in Buckhannon. But I look at this list on Conference Center Management Plan and I see some times and dates, and we're shooting for an opening about when? Summer?
July, August.
July, August? See, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems April, June, some of these kinds of things that are listed in there. And I know you kind of want to get a conference manager in so they can help do some of those things, but I'm not sure we don't need somebody to piece that together. And maybe, you know, you don't have everybody in the organization right now, but create a formula to determine how much you're going to charge for an event. See, maybe we ought to be having this kind of publication almost out there right now with all the rates in it and be pretty comfortable at it, at least for 2014. It's not to say things couldn't change in 2015, but
Right.
that's you know, that's where my concern would be right now on. But I do think you need some funds to help get the thing off the ground and flying, because you do want to do it right the first time. You don't want to have trouble getting it off the ground and have to turn around and do it again.
Right.
Well, but the city has committed this $765,000 loan. And that payment annually is in the neighborhood of $41,000 for 30 years. We've made a big commitment to this conference center. And I would state again that we've done a lot of things here over the time I've been sitting in this chair and previously, and you always have naysayers. I've not had the first person tell me this conference center is a bad idea. So I think we're on the right track. And certainly and I think I speak for the council, we want to see this conference center thrive. So we'll do what we have to do to make it thrive. But like I said, we're into it for $41,000 a year right now. Michael.
Can I interject something? Laura, using your numbers, and it's kind of a hypothetical, probably speaking out loud, but on that first column, the July 1 through June 30th, 2000, utilizing settlement money. Let's take the settlement money out. Let's take the conference center out because those are one-time pops.
Sure.
Just keeping that consistent and taking those numbers out. And I know that you use the 108 because that's the number we tell you we're gonna budget for, because we always budget conservatively. I'm not sure some people understand that. But if you look at the actual CVB average over the last 3 years, that's averaging pretty consistent at about 118. So if you plugged in that extra 10,000 in the hotel motel tax, just doing the numbers here, you'd have roughly 175,900, well, actually 185,900. And then if you go down to your operating expenses and you extract out the conference center payment, then you would have roughly 201,323. The difference in that would be roughly, let's see, we're looking at about 15,423, which would be your shortfall. Again, if you bump that income up to 118,000, pull out the settlement money, pull out the conference center payment, it's going to leave you just a little over 15,000 shy. And I think that kind of comes back to my previous thought. And getting this started, we don't know what's going to happen, and that's a scary thing. We hope and pray for the best, but I think you need kind of some seed money, if you will, in this. And I think that the having that direct appropriation will at least give you a little bit more certainty, to be honest with you, because you're not contingent upon people filling up a hotel. And if something, if there's a meth lab in a hotel and they close a hotel down, well, we're all going to lose there. And that happened. And that happened down in Charleston with a baseball team a basketball team a few years ago. So I think just having that consistency would be a lot more palatable. That way the CVB could make up that shortfall, in essence, if I'm doing the numbers right. And also be able to still have that 60-40, at least for one fiscal year, maybe 2 fiscal years. And then if that conference center is picking up theoretically, and the revenue, now we'll know what revenue we're bringing in, and we'll have a couple of years to have measured that. And if that's over 49,500, great, and then we can go and look at bumping those formulas around, and hopefully we're in a pretty good position and consolidated, and we built up enough funds that we can, that we can take that impact of reducing that percentage. For
Bottom line is, you're suggesting we give her 15,000 for next year, that allocation.
Well, is there do you have a current set of financials available?
I didn't bring them, but I could email them tomorrow.
I think what do you happen to know what the cash position of the CVB is right now?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Any of the board members happen to know? Treasurer? Okay.
Well, they're in fairly decent shape because you got the
Well, I
settlement.
mean, right, but take the settlement money out. I mean, that's a reserve that's being kept. You don't want to
Rainy day fund.
But Michael's point is he doesn't want to mess with the allocation to 60-40, keep it the same, but give them some chunk of money so that they have something solid there, and then we can revisit this next year when you have some more information.
Well, and unfortunately, our sole income, we get some grant reimbursement money, but that's dwindling. Settlement money is going to be gone eventually. Booking income, thankfully, we pay the conference center as we use it, so we can keep that within what we can do. But our sole income is from the city of Buckhannon. I understand, it's hard because the city's doing great things.
You just need some money, you don't care where it comes
Right.
from.
Anybody got a hat with it?
But the 15,000 allocation would make it still tight for them. But
I don't see why we don't just go ahead and give them what they asked for this year, $30,000 from the city of Buckhannon. There's no need to wait for another conference to be held or another committee to work on it or anything. They know what their budget is projected to be, and who knows better than the people that have worked on it. It may be low, it may be high, but I think $30,000 is going to be just right on the edge of what it's going to take